I will call the public hearing to order. We have a public hearing on changing the zoning. Does this sound real loud? Well, maybe I'll set it here. Does that sound better?
Probably turn it off and the other mics will pick you up.
Can you hear me now?
Don't fall and not be able to get up.
We have the public hearing on the changing of the land zoning from light manufacturing to general commercial on the land, I think it's 3 lots over on Columbiana Drive. Anyone who'd like to address council, we just have to come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. Seeing none. I'll try to change this back. Since no one's here, we'll call the meeting to order, and I will recognize Councilwoman Condon to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
Flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
tonight, a little different. We're going to pray the prayer our Father taught us with the special intention for the peacemakers. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy
thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we
Forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom,
the power,
and glory,
glory
forever.
forever.
Amen.
Amen.
Next. Next is the reading of the minutes from October 18th. Is there a motion for approval?
See out there.
I make a motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, it's red. I might need a new battery.
We can hear you, though.
Okay. We'll keep that now. Any discussion on the minutes? Yes, it's gone
Here,
Go ahead.
you can use mine. Go right.
There. So, any discussion on the minutes? None. All in favor then of the minutes being approved as written, do so with show of hand. And next is the administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, anything you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Brown on the briefing? Seeing none. Next is the amendments to the agenda. Any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none. Next is consideration of communication, and we have Mr. Randy Jones with the cherry tree project. Oh, we got on here cherry tree, cherry blossom. Okay.
Randy Jones, 306 Grantham Road. As you know, we don't have any festival other than the Oprah Strut, and it's geared toward big families, a lot of festival, a lot of fair stuff. Well, we come to find out we have a few cherry trees over in our Irmo Town Park. And we started thinking, I have Will Herlong with me and also Kim Gates, that work with me also. And we came up with the idea of having a cherry blossom festival, which will actually cater more toward the older people that don't really want all the loud noises and all that. The best-known cherry blossom festival, of course, is the one in Washington, D.C. And in 2011, the Cherry Blossom Festival pumped $126 million into their economy. The park only spent $246,000 to do it. Now, that's quite a return on the investment. I know we can't do it because we've only got 6 cherry trees right now. But I figure if we can start working on it and get it going, we can make it work. The 2 nearest cherry blossom festivals are in Georgia. Both of those are very large festivals. We're going to start ours small. And instead of being just a one-day event, it'll encompass 10 days to 2 weeks during the season. But only during one of those days, we want to bring in a lot of other things. We intend to bring in some Japanese music, food trucks, things of that nature, and we are actually going to cater to people outside of the area to come into Irmo, stay at the Hyatt, and use our restaurants, bento boxes. We've got a little package we want to put together. And then during the day, that's one day during the festival. The rest of the time, we hope to bring in, suggestions have been made for a seed swap, let Clemson come in and do a soil analysis one day, have the garden shops like Wingard's and Woodland come in and do free events to show people how to work with plants and all. And if we can get this going, since it's not going to be a fair type, with all the hustle and bustle, some of the retirement homes, the assisted living places want to bring buses in. The last page of the handout I gave you has a list of the places that have already expressed interest and agreed to help publicize and sponsor us. The festival, the way we're going to do it, we're going to start out real slow. I did check in. We can get the domain and all that kind of stuff, but we will have to spend a little bit of money on that. But everything is going to be geared toward bringing people into the town. We're going to promote the town businesses. In other words, the Hyatt is right now the only hotel we have in town. We're going to promote it. They have already agreed to give a discount. We're going to be working with the restaurants. All of our publications, anything that goes out will list the businesses in the town of Irmo, not down Columbiana, the ones in the city limits of Irmo. And that's what we're trying to do. We want business to come into the town. Another thing, and I've already talked to Whit about this, we are wanting to sponsor having more cherry trees planted. And what we want to do is we will actually have sponsors who will pay approximately $500 to have a cherry tree planted. Then Whit will in turn buy the tree, and then his people will plant it, and then the rest of that money will go for perpetual maintenance. So that way there won't be any, it'll give the town a little bit, keep going. And he also had mentioned that there might possibility that we might be able to put some around the new fire department whenever it comes in. But he's found 4 spots so far which are over in the Veterans Park. And then if and when the gazebo ever gets built, he thinks there might be some other spots there too. And he did come up with another idea that we thought was pretty good, and that's QR codes. If you don't know what those are, they're the little placards that you can mount on anything from town hall. You can mount it on the visitor center. You can put it Chamber of Commerce. Businesses can put it there. You scan it with your phone, and it brings up all the information.
That's that little square black and white thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's coming from behind me. I'm looking. You're up there.
Okay, so that's that little thing you see
Yeah.
in magazines and you.
You scan it, and it'll bring up all the information. That way, the sponsors, when they have their cherry tree, it will say this tree was donated by. But we can also use that same system for any point of interest within the town. We can put it on the front, the building up front, town hall. There's so many times people ask, where did that building come from? How old is it? If we put one of those things up there, and all they have to do is scan it, and it will give them all the information. You could even put one at your business, Artie. One other thing.
My phone won't work on that.
Currently, we have 5 people who are involved in it, in the setting up of it, and we're hoping to bring in more. We'd like to have as many as 8 just to help out. And we are going to ask the town to have someone to act as a liaison to make sure we comply with everything the town wants. And at any point the town wants to take it over, but on the next to last page, you will see what we anticipate needing from the town. That would be the use of the park. There will only be one day that we would need anything other than just the park open. And that would be the gazebo. We need it for one day, probably a Saturday. And if some of the vendors need tents, we'd have to make those arrangements too. A representative of the town to act as a liaison and point of contact. And we've already discussed the planning and perpetual maintenance of the trees. The listing of the event on the town website, we'd ask for that. And then if we do the QR codes, I've already talked to Bob about that. He's going to check in to see what it'll cost, because of the system we're using now, it costs to have all that stuff put on there. We don't expect it to be a lot of expense, because of the way we're going to do it, we're going to start out with a free website, and then if it takes off, then we'll build as it goes. What we anticipate is that this year will be kind of feeling it out. Then next year, hopefully we'll have, better response, and it's a learning process. But we would like the town's blessing, and any consideration y'all can give us, we'd greatly appreciate it. I want you to look over, and if you have any comments, any suggestions, let us know. If there's anything that we can do to make it better or make it work better for y'all, let us know, because this is a community function. This is not something we're going to make money on. It's for the community, the town of Irmo. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. How much do you think this is going to cost? How much do you think this festival is going to cost?
The first year, I anticipate, the most I figure it will cost is $2,000. I don't anticipate it being that high. Domain, $15, I'll build the website myself. We will be having to set up, I believe we're going to have to set up a nonprofit, we will have fees to pay.
So $2,000 for the first year?
I don't think it's going to run that long. We haven't set up a nonprofit, we cannot collect the money yet. So,
I just got that. I didn't know. Okay.
obviously don't know, we'll revisit that once we get it.
Randy, are we gonna have a fixed date, or is it gonna be,
Okay, the peak of the cherry blossoms, you can't set the date right now
Right.
when they're going to peak. What we're going to do, we anticipate it being the last week of March, first week of April, isn't that right? Mid-March.
okay,
Anywhere in that 4-week period.
okay,
And we'll pick the 2 weeks, and then one Saturday during that period will be that one-day festival.
okay, got it.
Are these fruit-producing cherry trees, or?
No, but they are pretty.
They are pretty.
They are
Very
pretty, and we have 6 of them right now, and if we could have found more room in the old park, we'd be planting some more there. But unfortunately, there's no room. Anything else?
Thank you.
And next is Larry with the orchestra.
And I think there was one thing, and you can address that, because that was kind of why he's here. There were some checks that I signed, and I wasn't sure what they were signed for. I know why, but I can't explain it in a simple way. So in case anybody else had any questions, I wanted him to kind of come and explain, and then kind of give us an update too on how everything went, but then just explain that so everybody knows what was going on with that and how that works.
Sure, we're close to final report on it. Bob and I, one of these days, will agree on the numbers, but we're close. It's a successful festival. The most recent numbers, I think we're going to end up slightly below, almost $30,000 excess income over expenses. So it's a successful festival, very well financially sound, it looks like, going forward this year. One thing that the Strut has done in many, many years is, and I can remember meeting my neighbors 20 years ago, that now. But community groups, organizations help at the festival, and they fund things. I know you guys have seen many of your neighbors, friends, acquaintances. Sometimes they do it by renting a booth, but in a lot of situations, they assist the festival itself as a service project and as a fundraiser. So the festival, as long as I've known numbers about it, has done some contributions to organizations that provided volunteers. So that's what those checks were for. Were groups that, matter of fact, every one of those groups, except for one, are groups that have done this in the past. They assist us in things like the soda, soft drink sales. They help us in the pod shop. They help us in the parade. But it is a very good method for us to operate the festival. We get two things out. Well, we get a lot of things out of it. We get the volunteers we need. We get kind of self-management. I mean, they come in with their own schedule of what they're, who's going to come when and who's going to take lunch when. So we don't have to micromanage these groups as we would. It beats the heck out of us going to a temp agency or whatever to hire help for the festival. And we're putting money back into these community organizations like the Lions Clubs, the Civitans, et cetera. So that's what those particular checks are for. And we got, financially, we're in a very good position to do it. My goal with you as we go forward and set the budget would be that, these are among the benefactors of this festival are these community groups that are able to assist and in doing so also raise some money for their organizations as well. So it's a very good trade-off for us. There have been discussions about beneficiaries of charities. We get kind of bogged down, but this one's an easy one. I mean, they're coming out and giving us a hand. We can count how many people they got. It's a very good way to support them, and they're giving us a very good hand as well.
So these are checks for volunteers?
They're checks for civic organizations, not for, they're not paid to Barry Walker for working at the festival, but Barry Walker might be a member of one of the community group that comes
Barry
in.
Walker didn't volunteer for anything.
Well, I'm sorry.
So,
Yeah. But exactly. The individuals are not being compensated to volunteer, but they're working for an organization, a civic group.
So this is part of the charitable giving that we talked about.
That's how I view it myself.
How much was the checks that you write?
$2,100.
2,100.
Total?
6 checks or 5, something like that.
6 checks for $2,100 or
No,
total?
Total.
Total of $2,100.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On several
I
groups.
think there was 300 and 300 and
Oh, okay.
300.
$600 each group.
One
I got you.
750 or something like that. And I think it was Lions Club and Boy Scouts and
Lions Club, there's a couple of scout organizations, the Civitans.
yeah, Civitans. I remember that one.
That answer your questions? Thank you guys for your support.
All right, thank you, thank you. And we also have Keep the Midlands Beautiful, wanted to come give us an update on the recycle day.
Ms. Buck.
I know, I'm going blank here. I didn't have it wrote down, so sometimes
How are you,
I don't
Ms.
do
Buck?
good under pressure. Yes, but anyway, go ahead.
I'm sorry, where's that at on the agenda?
It'd be, well, we just did, she just came in tonight and wanted to know, so we put it right there under the other, A and B,
Oh, okay,
under the consideration of communication.
no problem.
Good evening. I'm Jacqueline Buck, Executive Director of Keep the Midlands Beautiful. I wanted to thank you for your support of our Regional Recycle Day that happened Saturday, October the 15th. The event was held at Irmo High School. We moved it down to the high school because it was a Regional Recycle Day, which just means that Richland and Lexington County residents were able to participate, and also the county and Lexington brought out opportunities for us to recycle more items. I wanted to report to you that we were able to collect 17 tons of household hazardous waste and pesticides. So that's paint and pesticides, and also because South Carolina agriculture came out, that is actually opened up to the state, so farmers were able to bring in any excess materials that they had. We collected 6.5 tons of paper shred. We collected half a ton of tires. It was actually a complete roll-off container. 4.73 tons of metal, and the big finale, we collected 26.64 tons of electronics. Wow. So these events are still needed. This is the 7th one we've had, and people are still hiding these big console TVs somewhere. They keep bringing them out, and we keep collecting them. We had 531 residents or cars come through from Lexington and 546 from Richland. We did have one sneak through that was from Kershaw. Don't know how that got in, but they didn't turn them away. So it was a very successful event. We actually were there till after 3:30 because we did shut down the line with the Lexington County deputy at 2 o'clock, but the line was still out to St. Andrews at that point. So we were thankful for people's patience. I was able to see Councilman Walker there, and Councilman Condon came through, and some of the folks that are in the audience too came through and participated. So it is a worthwhile event, and I'm thankful for your support. Also, I was able to give you the gala flyer for today. You have supported that in the past. That does go for beautification. We did give a $3,000 grant to the library this year in Irmo, and we have been vigilant in giving out the money that we do collect at the gala. So hopefully that you'll attend again this year. I'll look forward to hearing from Mr. Brown on whether or not you all want to attend again this year. And at that, do you have any questions for me?
One thing we were just discussing, typically those tables have 8.
Yes.
But if we have 5 and spouses, then we need 10.
Yeah. Well, I'll just move, a couple of y'all that don't want to sit together to another table.
We can't get a big table and like all 10?
They're 8 tops. All right, you either have to snuggle up or I'll move you up to another table.
I think we snuggled last year, but
We had 9 last year.
I'll be happy to accommodate you the best I can. You can either get, I think you had 9 last year.
oh, did?
So,
Oh, okay.
If you want to, I can put you at a adjoining table. I know Chapin's coming, or I can put you with the Irmo Arbor Day. I know they're coming.
Yeah, I'll sit with them.
That's what I thought. I thought you might like to do that, Councilman
Yeah.
Mayor King. So you can just let me know. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I just want to say, Jacqueline, I just want to say thank you, because where I'm from originally, the council at that time actually took a stand and stopped a recycling program. And they actually tried to make money by forcing people to take them to the landfill and paying for things like TVs, mattresses, things like that. And it became a slum because people are not going to pay to do it. So thankfully, we have folks like you that get involved to take care of this, because if you didn't take care of this, we would have more issues to deal with. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
And it was well attended. That, I know when I pulled in, I saw Councilman Walker, and I thought, good, I'm at the front. But then I had to go all the way back, all the way out, and I thought, oh, I'm not at the front.
I think Councilman Walker was like number 10.
Yeah, he said he got there early.
I said,
I had a bunch of stuff.
yeah.
But it was well attended. There was a lot of people.
It was.
And it was very organized. Sent you right word, all that kind of stuff.
And you had good volunteers.
We did have good volunteers, and to speak on the Okra Strut, we had volunteers for our recycling that we did at the Okra Strut, and received our volunteers with AmeriCorps, and they received a check for $150. Each year we try to get volunteers from somewhere else. Last year we had middle school, Irmo Middle School volunteer, and each year we get $150 for our volunteer, whether it goes to the school. I know one year we had the police explorers do it. So we always try to find some cause that will help us out with the recycling. So we appreciate doing that.
Good. Thank you. Any other consideration of communications? Seeing none. Next item is presentation by citizens. This is for things that are on the agenda tonight. Anyone who would like to address council, all we ask is you give us your name and address for the record, and then which item you want to speak to. And seeing none. Next item then is unfinished business. Second reading of ordinance 1621. This is the one with the rezoning on the 3 lots. I think it's 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah. From light manufacturing to general commercial on Columbiana Drive. Is there a motion for second reading?
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? And I will, before y'all, since y'all made the motion, if Bob wants to address that, okay, Eric, okay.
Address what?
When the property owners that live in the neighborhood filed a lawsuit, I think it was in 2001 or 2, on that property, there was a settlement made, it had to do with the burn, but there was also something in there about them having the right to change the zoning at a future date. So I just want to make sure all the council knew that, but yeah, if Eric wants to address it.
It's contained in, under covenants and commitments, under subsection D, it states that.
What are you reading now? What is this?
Page 6.
It's the court order.
This is the court order.
It's on your iPad.
It's on the iPad.
And this is when the lawsuit was settled back.
And this is the one, 2006, is that right? I think it is.
It's dated 2004, but
Okay.
at least the one I have.
Where's that on the iPad? Chapter 26?
At the top, it says 2006 for Moore, Taylor, and Thomas.
Is that chapter 26 you got?
No, sir, it's not. Chapter 26 is the solid waste.
Yeah, that's the solid waste.
Okay, so where's it on my iPad? What is he reading? Where's it on my iPad?
Yeah, I can let you pull this one if you'd like to see it. I can paraphrase what it says.
You said it's on my iPad. Where's it?
It's not on your iPad, I apologize.
Okay, it's not on your iPad.
Court order that we have.
This is the court order from the berm agreement that we had?
Yeah, from that lawsuit that was settled between the neighborhood and the landowner, Mr. Richardson, I think was his name.
Okay, here you go. Okay, I see what you're saying. I got you. All right, thank you.
And it says basically that the Richardsons have the right
this
light
thing ain't on.
manufacturing to either general
You know.
commercial or general residential. And that that right is exercisable by the Richardsons. So it's their discretion to make the determination of which
Does that
one
mean I'm
they
not getting
chose.
a signal?
So I would just tell you that according to your contract, this is a vote that you don't have very many options.
Have we heard from the Richardsons?
I assume they're the ones who asked for this.
I was,
They are the property owner
Okay.
that's making the request to rezone it.
okay.
I'm getting no signal on my TV. What does that mean?
That means you aren't getting the picture.
Was it on?
Well, I turned the button on, but it still ain't came on. It came on, but then it says no signal. So, I don't know what.
What they,
That's all right, though.
what they have up there right now, Artie, is just the map.
Oh, okay. Well, I got the
You
map
have
here.
that on your iPad.
So they stopped the mining activities basically, and then now they're asking for,
Well, I think
to
they,
rezone.
I think you said, or they said that they would, or maybe I read in something, that they would once the zoning got changed.
They stopped it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
They've been putting dirt back in it for about the last year. Ever since they finished the work over at Irmo Elementary when they were pulling all the dirt out. Now they're starting to put dirt back in. That's not mining, that's just trying to do a big hole.
So that berm is still in place even after the zoning change goes through? And that's 40 feet, you got the dimensions, right?
It's 10 foot tall, 5 foot wide at the bottom, and 4 at the top.
Tall, and it's gotta be 4 foot at the top, and it's gotta have foliage on it.
At the top. And that basically covers the whole length from the, I guess, we're,
Behind the RG property. Fox Run.
well, I'm saying from the commercial, the general commercial where it is now, to all the way to the other general commercial, which is over the end of Fox Run. That whole berm will be along that.
Berm's there.
There's about 2 houses up in Fox Run. If you come in off of Eastview and turn to the right, Mike Swords, if you know where he lives, that they agreed they didn't want to burn behind their place when it was built. They wanted hardwoods left. So evidently, 2 lots don't have a berm. But they wanted it that way because the height of the berm and the lay of the land, they would see over the berm. And so they wanted the hardwoods just left in that area so that it would block whatever view. I told them to call you and talk to you about it because you were going to go inspect it.
I haven't talked to him, it sounds like
But-
a good agreement, we have nothing in writing.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but he just told me that tonight, that theirs didn't have one. And it may be, if you inspect that thing, there may be some other agreements, I don't know. Don't know. But I told him to get with you about it and let y'all know so we wouldn't make somebody put it back up if they didn't want it, or put it up if they didn't want it.
Am I correct that general commercial will allow more things than light manufacturing?
More commercial type things, I mean, it eliminates a big factory. Big building.
For the
Still
homeowner,
have a big Walmart, I mean,
Yeah.
still have a big box store.
and under light manufacturing?
No,
Under general, okay.
yes.
So for the homeowner, the light manufacturing would be better, right? Or could it be?
Not if a factory went in there.
Yeah,
Right.
it depends on what went in. Because you could put stuff in light manufacturing that they may not want there.
To me, if anyone is buying this property or if they're developing it, I think they're gonna take advantage of being on I-26. That area that is, that first star, if you wanna see it there, first star on the right, that, I believe that area is what will truly be developed. So it can be seen from I-26 clearly, and if anything, I would think parking would be in back of that. Whatever gets developed, I don't know if it's gonna be a movie theater, we don't know what it's gonna be.
Yeah, and it's large enough, they could do multiple stuff. They could build something in the back and parcel out the front and who knows what. Any more discussion? All in favor then of changing the zoning from light manufacturing to general commercial, do so with show of hands. All opposed? And let's see, second reading of ordinance 1623. This is one to do with the stormwater, where we have adopted Lexington County's new stormwater ordinance, and we have to kind of adopt theirs to be in compliance. So that's basically all we're doing, I guess. Is there a motion for second reading of 1623?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? And I had a question, Bob. This thing here, is that, that's, okay, that's a different thing. That's our response plan, but that's not this. Okay. And I think somewhere, maybe I read in the administrative briefing that there were just a few things changed in our actual ordinance. Is that just like dates that go along with this new one, or?
No, I mean, that's what we're changing now, it's just the date to be, in compliance, I guess, with their changes. You know, but ours that we agreed to in 2007, we would adopt and agree to anything that they had in their land development plan and their stormwater ordinance. They make all the changes in the world, but we still abide by it because of the agreement that council made.
So our ordinance isn't changing, other than we're just saying we're adopting this one.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
So if I pretty much read it, then it wouldn't matter what it says. It says the same thing, other than we're just,
Because they do all the inspections
Oh,
and
okay.
manage it for us.
any questions? All in favor then, do so with show of hands. And the next is the first reading of ordinance 1624. This is the one where someone had informed us that someone had a goat, and we sent code enforcement out there, and it's not in our ordinance that you can't have a goat. So I said, well, put it on there and see what happens and see what we want to add. But we're basically adding goats to the cannot have thing. So is there a first reading for ordinance 1624?
Well, if I may, I think what we should do is try and encompass all farm animals in there. Because today we're adding goats, tomorrow are we gonna add, I don't know.
Well, we can make a motion in a second and then amend it and add all that stuff, whatever you might else, yeah. So is there a motion for first reading?
I so move.
Okay. And a second?
I second.
And, yeah. And then if we want to add some other stuff, like, I'm just going to say this, but I don't know, I can't remember if I dreamed it, if somebody told me or what, but someone had informed me about a camel. And I can't remember if they were talking about in our town or somewhere else. Well, no, it was somewhere around this area. And I know they have camels in that play, and I think they have them in Lexington County somewhere.
yeah.
But I don't think, but I don't know. But I don't know. I jokingly said something to Bob the other day about, well, maybe we need to add camels and llamas and elephants and,
There are llamas. There
I
are
don't
quite a
know.
few llamas in Lexington County.
or just add the word farm animals. So, I don't know.
So llamas against the law then?
Well, right now there wouldn't be, I guess. I
I'm
don't know.
saying, is that a problem with llamas or?
In a residential neighborhood, I think it'd be like horses and cattle.
Thank you, Mr. Bob. It's gotta be plugged in to work, all right?
Oh. Maybe I unplugged it.
Is it working now?
No, but it may
You gotta
take
push
a
the
minute to
button
come
on
on.
the end, turn it on.
Wait a minute. This is a problem, Mr. Bob.
But, did y'all want to add something?
Well, I mean, I think we should try and encompass as many as we can, right? I mean, Eric, if you can give us some direction here.
I mean, what do you mean?
I know, so how can we make a broad stroke here?
The problem is that, as Chief pointed out the last time, is that all of your ordinances are criminal in nature. And because they're criminal in nature, the broader you make them, the more vague and ambiguous you make them, the more open to attack they become. And so the courts are going to try to, if they can, construe against law enforcement anything that they can in the ordinance. So if you put farm animals, any animal that is used for any purpose by a man has a farm somewhere. So you could have a snake farm where you're getting venom. You could have a alpaca farm, and you could have, just keep going. You could
Puppy
have
farm.
a salmon farm where you're making salmon for consumption, and we can keep going and going and going with this. So you can try the farm animals thing. Will it withstand scrutiny? Will our courts uphold it if we get out there and there's an alpaca and is that a farm animal? I don't know. So you can either try to put in every animal you can think of in there, or you can try farm animals, or you can address the problems as they arise. I think those are really your three choices.
To address the problem as they arise, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that's your three choices. You could either try to throw in something generalized and hope that it would be enough under the circumstances to address it, or you could attempt to name every animal that would possibly be kept in the town of Irmo, or you could do it now and address a specific issue.
Student, come on.
Three options.
But that's all right, I don't.
See, right now, I know when we discussed chickens, I found out that peacocks are allowed. Guinea hens are allowed.
And ducks, anything that
And ducks.
lays an egg,
So,
What do you
I
mean?
don't know if you've
Ducks
ever.
are allowed.
because they're not listed. I know some people that have some ducks. They do pretty good eggs.
So, I mean, we're opening up this.
So right now, people can have ducks.
I think.
You hear that, chicken people?
Guinea hens. Guinea hens lay eggs that are very much like a regular chicken. So,
Wow.
Multicolored.
yeah,
Guinea hens like Cornish hens?
No.
no, and
They're-
the reason why I bring up those two particularly is with chickens, they're viewed as much calmer and much quieter. If you've ever heard a peacock,
Yeah, they're a good security animal.
and a guinea hen, I believe guinea hens are called the watchdogs of the fowl community. They are loud. So, if we didn't agree with chickens because one of the reasons was noise, then I believe we should also add peacocks, and I believe we should also add guinea hens to this.
So, do you want to make a motion to amend?
Make a motion to amend. Beyond adding goats, we should also add peacocks and guinea hens
And ducks.
and ducks.
How do you outlaw ducks? Aren't they on ponds? I mean, we can't outlaw.
No, you, pets, but people have them as.
Kids get little yellow ducks at Easter, and they run around the yard, and
Yeah.
then the dog gets it, and
Unless you're using them for Peking duck, and then I can help them with that.
All right, so there's been a motion
Orange
to amend. Is there a second?
Long Island orange duck.
second.
All right, any discussion on the amendment with peacocks, guinea hens, and ducks?
Can you think of any more animals that we need to put on that list?
Snakes.
Well, snakes are wild. They're gonna,
Yeah.
they'll
just
show up
sneak in.
anywhere.
Outlaw them.
Some guy stepped on a copperhead the other night during Halloween.
No, but she brings up a point.
This is really a joke.
My
Pythons.
My stepson had a ball python. In the house?
I don't know that we can outlaw this in the house.
Yeah, I think if they're in the house, that's kind of.
Yeah.
So any discussion on the peacocks, guinea hens, and ducks? All in favor then of amending the ordinance to add peacocks, guinea hens, and ducks, do so with show of hands. All right, so now it says pigs, cattle, chicken, goats, and somewhere in there, Renee, you can add peacocks, guinea hens, and ducks. Any discussion on that as amended?
The animals we're listing is like he said, is not a complete list of every farm animal we can come up with, but, you know, you said there's alpacas and Lexington
I'm just saying somebody
llamas.
could, I guess, technically bring one home. I don't know.
Llamas?
Is it your intent to not allow folks to have llamas in their backyard if they wanted to? Is that what your intent is?
Well, it's our intent as far as council, but yeah, I would say in a residential neighborhood, somebody probably doesn't need a llama anymore than they need a goat or a horse or a cow, or a camel, but I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. Nobody would want to bring one of those in since they're very big. But,
Do we have any cases where they have llamas in Irmo?
Not yet.
But you did say that it was a goat.
yeah, we had been told about the goat
And the goat wasn't used for getting the grass trimmed, keeping the grasses under 8 inches.
well, I don't know.
Was this in the backyard?
I think it was in the back side yard, visible.
It was kept,
From the
it was
area.
well kept and everything? I mean,
Oh, I don't know about that.
but it was a goat.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a big dog, it was a goat.
From what I'm told. I went to the wrong house.
Okay.
Code enforcement went by there, but then discovered that it's not technically because it isn't listed.
I don't know, I see it coming back here every other week and, you know, somebody says, okay, I got a llama this week, so I'm gonna put a llama back here, or I got
Then, yeah, you could do that every time something else came up.
you
or-
know,
And there are
a Tibetan.
in Lexington County, there's several.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you know, what do you call it, a Tibetan dog that's $1 million, it looks like a bear. It could look like a bear, but it's not a bear, it's a dog, you know. It's all these things we can run into. There's not a way we can, the intent is not to have farm animals back there, okay?
But based on what he said, yeah. I mean,
Just rush it as farm animals, period. And then let somebody challenge it. I mean,
Yeah.
instead of going one by one, because you're gonna miss something, I'm telling
Put
you.
farm animals
Farm
such
animals.
as
Right.
well, you could,
Yeah, farm animals such as, and then
list them.
list them.
could we add,
Including but not limited to.
yeah, farm
There you go.
animals
Yeah, there you go.
included but not limited to, and then list all this stuff?
You would, again, could try.
Yes. Yeah, that's what
Like I
we,
said, if the court, what you're talking about is whether or not the court is going to say whether or not this is a farm animal. You know,
Yep.
so including but not limited to, you're still gonna, if we come to a point where we have to address what a farm animal is and it's not specifically delineated, the court is going to want to err on the side of finding that the animal is not a farm animal because of it being a criminal ordinance.
So you want to make a motion, or you could add,
Yeah, but what happens when we get to chickens again, you know? We wanna take the chickens and make those legal.
you'd have to
And
just
that's a
come in
farm
and delete.
animal,
and we can
so
change.
that delineates it as,
A farm animal.
Hmm?
I said, I believe you then would have to take out the farm animal language because then you would have people calling up and saying, well, hey, this ordinance prohibits farm animals. You got rid of the particular word that says chicken in there.
But they're still a farm animal, so they'd be
I mean, I
saying,
guess you can pass an ordinance that particularly accepts from that chickens. But I mean,
I think we should try it.
I think so. I mean, I think us going one by one we're gonna miss something. We're gonna be back here with 3 readings trying to add that new animal that they've discovered.
So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna put?
so we're gonna make another amendment?
Just change it to farm animals, not to include, like you said,
Including but not limited.
not limited to, yeah.
And you're adding that at the beginning? Or,
it shall be unlawful for any person to keep farm animals, comma, including but not limited
Horses,
You just said
guinea hens,
horses,
peacocks,
peacocks.
sheep.
Yeah,
I mean, little lamb's
Is
cute.
sheep, goat,
that'll be the next thing.
are they different? I guess they're different.
Goats are different than sheep, yes. Are none of y'all from the south here?
I know a difference of sheep
I know
and
they're
goat.
different, are goats different? Yes.
The lamb chops are different than leg of lamb, I mean,
All right, so we are
Leg of goat,
amending.
leg of lamb.
yeah, I know how to
Who
do
made the
that.
motion?
I so move.
All right,
Yeah. We're
So-
gonna, whatever he said, that's what we're doing.
who seconds that one?
Second,
And it will say farm animals, including but not limited to pigs, cattle, chickens, goats. And I'm gonna add, just for that, sheep, horses, and whatever that other stuff was. So you got that, Renee?
is sheep and lambs the same thing?
No,
Lamb, that's the baby sheep, ain't it?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, lamb
is-
is, yeah,
Yeah.
So sheep and lambs are the same thing?
yeah.
A
but
goat
sheep-
is a kid.
All right,
it's a kid, that's right.
so we need discussion about that second amendment.
What about deer?
Fawn,
I don't think you can keep a deer in a fence.
that's a wild animal.
You-
After I shoot them, I can.
You can't
They-
shoot
they-
the city limits.
They jump.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'll shoot them on agriculture and then bring them in.
So, all in favor then of the second amendment, adding farm animals including but not limited to, and adding sheep after goats, do so with show of hands. All right, now we are, any discussion on all that stuff, where it says farm animals, including to but not limited to pigs, cattle, goats, sheep, peacocks, guinea hens, ducks. Is that right?
Sheep.
It's fine.
Okay. All in favor then of all that, do so with show of hands. All right. Next is item B, approval of the law enforcement assistant and support agreement between Irmo Police and Lexington County Health Department. Is there a motion for approval?
I make a motion.
And a second.
Second.
And I don't know, Bob wants to mention anything, or Chief want to mention anything? Is that just a normal?
It's with the Lexington Medical Center. They need assistance, they can get it from us and vice versa. They have a couple uniformed officers in the hospital.
Okay. And is this a new thing, or something we always do, we just gotta redo it, or?
Something new.
Oh, okay, good.
And this one on St. Andrews, or,
Well, this would give us the authority to help them with any of them.
Oh,
An
okay.
active shooter, the Lexington Hospital, we can assist with them there.
okay. And y'all don't mind doing this? Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor then of the approval, do so with show of hands. Next is a decision on the disposition of South Carolina Department of Transportation sidewalk grant refund in the amount of $25,000. And I guess since it's written this way, we need to discuss it and then decide. So, why don't you explain to us what's going on, and then we can decide what we want to do.
Well, DOT wants this money so they can complete the piping in of Carlisle Street at the corner of Carlisle and Moses Street. And the reason that I put this on here is because we've already gone to the well and given them money 3 different times
They have.
since this was approved 5 years ago. They've completed the project the way they're gonna leave it now with the big hole in the ground. I mean, it's a very deep pit that they have for the ditch out there, and they're gonna leave it like that. We wanted it piped in from the beginning. So, what they would like to do is if we allow them the $25,000, this is a refund from the Eastview, College Street project that we did about 2 years ago. So that's where this extra money's coming from. They'll be able to go back to the federal government and request 80% because these are all 80/20 grants. So if we give them $25,000, they get another $8,000 from the feds and have a little over $100,000 to pipe in Carlisle Street. Because
What's the cost to pave Carlisle?
This has nothing to do with the paving. The paving's already gonna be done. That's in the,
I'm sorry, to pipe in Carlisle
oh,
Street.
well, it was supposed to be piped in when we put the grant in 5 years ago. That was the whole idea, was to clean that corner right down there. And sidewalks with nice grass and keep it manicured. And they came back to us and said, well, our engineers looked at it, it was gonna be like $300,000 just to pipe it in. And they've thrown all kinds of numbers around for the last 3 years as we were trying to get the design and engineering phase completed. And of course, we didn't have that kind of money. I mean, this project started off at $120,000, it's over $300,000 now.
Started out at 98,
Oh, is that what it, okay.
2011,
When? When?
February.
When will he do it? If we agree to this, when will he do it?
Well, that's another issue that we have with the emails, if you saw them going back and forth, was, they were gonna hit us up with another $10,000 for mobilization costs to bring it back out there, because the contractors had left last week when they finished it up. You know, that was what was brought on, but they needed an answer from us in 24 hours. They needed one immediately. You know, we wait for DOT for years and years and years.
They want, yeah, right, yesterday.
So we're getting 25,000 back from which sidewalk?
This was the College Street Eastview sidewalk that we had done. When we went down Eastview, came the Battery
Okay.
Road,
So we got 25,000 back from them,
approximately, it's between 25 and 30. They couldn't give me an exact figure yet.
and then they want to keep that money and use it to cover up the big ditch that they originally said they were going to cover up. Now they said they're not. And they don't know what it's going to cost. It could be 300,000, and then they're going to ask us for more money.
They've asked us for more money, and we've given it to them, like I say, on 3 separate occasions.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
So do we want to give them more money? Do we want to give them the refund, let them do it, or not?
And we don't have a performance guarantee.
And we don't have a price.
This is not, this is DOT.
Now,
DOT doesn't do performance bonds or anything like that. There's no guarantee. That's the whole,
They answered a no.
But that's the problem.
yeah.
well, that is the problem.
You know,
That's,
here it is. Just
Can we
take it.
make
That's what
'em,
we're saying, right? Just keep taking it. Here's the purse, keep taking it.
Can we make them put up a fence because it's unsafe?
It is dangerous, yes.
Are they liable if somebody falls off of it?
They are and we are.
But if we asked them to put up a fence,
How we are?
liable if we,
Exactly.
correct?
It's a sidewalk in the town. We're always going to be liable for something happening in the town limits.
Well, Eric, if we asked them in writing to put up they did that on, what's that place, Shoppers Walk? They put up that to keep somebody from
Yeah.
falling over. They
Well,
put up,
charged us, it wasn't free.
oh, they
They
did?
didn't do it out of the kindness of their heart, no, sir.
So, how much, okay. Well, did we have to pay for all of it or 25%?
I don't understand, 25% of what?
The cost of that fence? Was that part of the original thing, or did they come back and do it after they
Oh,
got
they
through?
came back afterwards and said, yes, too dangerous right here, we need a fence.
And then we paid for that whole thing, or just 25%, and they paid for the difference?
No, it came out of the cost. I mean, it was a change order, but it didn't cost us any more because they had extra money built. We ended up getting a refund on that one too, like $11,000.
But you don't know if we ended up paying just 25% on that, or we paid 50% and they paid 50
No,
or
sir, I had to
something.
go back and look at the fence a long time ago.
Well, since, in my mind, since they don't know what that hole is gonna cost to fill up,
Well,
we could give them 25,000, they can come back 2 years from now and say, hey, we decided it's gonna take more.
they're implying now that they've done all their engineering designing and they know exactly what it's gonna cost. And they're saying, this will do the trick.
Well, how much is that exactly?
Just add it on.
Yeah, they
And they-
tell us they know how much it's gonna cost, but they ain't told you how much it's gonna cost, because they don't know.
and they're gonna take the $25,000 to $30,000 and get the government to match it, or what?
The government, the feds will give them 80%. I mean, they'll give,
And they're supposed to finish it
supposedly.
at this time,
Yes, sir, that's what
But-
they say.
We don't know what the 100% cost is, so.
right?
But like Mr. Pouliot said, we have no guarantees here. This is DOT, they.
Yeah, you got no
they have
guarantee
a
with
world of their
DOT.
own here. And
Is there a way, Eric, that we can protect the town you know, as far as I'm concerned, this was money that we've given already. All right? So it's not that we're taking it back out of our coffers. It's been given already.
That's correct.
So this is a refund. Is there a way, Eric, that we can protect ourselves that this is it? You have to finish this thing now with the money we're giving you, or we want it back.
No, they won't give it back.
State never gives
Once we
back
give it
money.
to them, they ain't giving it back.
We can't protect ourselves?
No, every time we do an amendment or a contract, it says in the fine print in the contract that, okay, we agree to do this, but the town is responsible for any overruns or any additional costs. I mean, that's what's in all their contracts.
Yeah, we gotta pay 25% no matter what it costs, and
So do you take the contract and you cross it out? Look, I mean, I'm not being facetious here.
sir.
yeah,
We
they
gotta
won't.
protect ourselves here.
That's his question. I can't answer that.
I'm certain he wouldn't take it if it scratched out. That's the whole point of their operations, that they don't want to have any obligation to anyone if things cost more, if labor costs more. If anything
understood.
comes up. They're not in it
Yep.
for money, so it's not
Yeah.
like you're dealing with a contractor where you can say, hey, you're gonna make a profit on this, we'll pay you $100,000 to do the job. You have overruns, that's your problem, not mine. If you can do it for $10,000 and you can pocket 90, great, we're happy for you, but that's how much we're paying for it. DOT doesn't care about that.
Yeah. We have an obligation to our taxpayers, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the money is not DOT's money, it's federal, so they're kinda like a go-between. They're just handling the grant, and whatever it costs, federal government pay 80, and we gotta pay 20. And if the 25 covers it, fine. If the 25 doesn't, they're gonna come back to us
I
for
mean,
more.
I'm in,
And if we give them the 25 and they come back later and say, hey, you need 20,000 more, and we say no, we don't get the 25 back. They're gonna spend it on something. So we either say yay and open up our
Darned if you
pocketbook
do and
and
darned
get
if
ready
you
to
don't.
give more, because that's what they've done the only difference here is between 2011 and 2016, it took them 5 years to do that, to get it. This one is ready, whatever price they give us should be pretty good for 90 days, so it should be pretty accurate. But to me, I would ask them how much is it gonna cost? We ain't giving you nothing till we know.
We never can get a firm figure out of it. We've tried. We've been trying many years to get them to commit to firm. It's like the mayor said, I mean, they're not really in it for a profit, they make bad estimates. I don't know if the engineering is
Well,
is poor or
and the
what.
time,
if they were a business, they'd be out of business.
but they bid stuff out or take grants in 2011, and then they had to handle them for the whole state, and it's 3 years later before they get around to it. Costs have gone up.
Well, it's supposed to
Part of
save us
that.
money, because the reason it takes so long is because they bid them out in big packages. They didn't just bid our project. They bid out like 50 different projects at the same time to try to get, the quantity cost lower.
But the problem is they don't hold their contractors' feet to the fire. They allow the contractors to charge, well, our costs have gone up. Well, you should have done it before. They don't do that.
Yeah, they're,
We don't know whether they do that.
Kathy,
No, if they do that, it's for their benefit, not ours.
yeah, well, there you
That's-
go. And, isn't that public information that we can find out if they do that?
Oh, yeah, they do audits at the end of the project. I mean, the feds really make sure that the money is spent properly. I don't think it's anything that's improper. I think, again, it's just bad estimating and bad prices that they give us when they start the project, and they give everybody. And for all the time the
And-
prices keep going up, they just pass it on to us.
years ago when we, in, I guess 2007, 6, 5, 4, all that kind of stuff, they used to allow us as a town and a lot of municipalities to manage the project. We would hire somebody to get a price and get it together and come to us and say, this sidewalk's gonna cost $40,000. We would send that to DOT or to COG with the grant, and then they would award it, and then we would take that company and tell them to go bid it out and do all that stuff. Well, they changed, the federal government made DOT handle everything. So in almost a 1 month period, they went from all this stuff that was being handled by municipalities to them handling everything. And they've been behind ever since. And it just takes them forever
Yeah.
because they don't have the staff.
Well, I mean, right now, we have a very dangerous situation.
Yeah.
We have already given this money.
3 times.
We got it back, but we got this particular, so I'm ready to vote.
And the only thing, vote on what? Giving them 25 or giving them 25 after they tell us how much? I don't want to give them nothing until I know how
I
much.
agree with you, Hardy. Believe me, I want them to say to us, it's going to cost this. If it doesn't, then I want to be able to hold their feet to the fire and, stop banging on the table and say, look, you said it was going to cost this.
That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
Once we give them the money.
That's not gonna happen.
They can
You
come
gotta
back
make a
later and
decision
tell
whether
us.
give them the refund to do the project or not. And that's where we are. I mean, I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. We need to hold them to the fire, but it ain't gonna happen. Not with this DOT contracts that we've been dealing with. And like you said, this is what, the third time they've been to the well?
Yes, sir.
What was the cost?
If we take the refund back and then put the fence up ourselves, I mean, the fence can't cost $1,000.
Yeah, but
Just keep the other
still, we still got a pit.
Put that up? Can we put that up on their property? Would they allow us to do that?
No, the fence is on ours. The fence is on the sidewalk, right after the sidewalk.
Yeah, but it's not on our property, it's on somebody's right of way or,
No, it's on the right of way.
Oh, it's DOT's, yeah.
so they'll give us permission to go put it up if we want to.
I would hope so.
If we do it properly, according to their,
I mean, it is a safety issue.
it'll take 2 studies.
This is a no-win,
I would say just put up the fence. Let us
Well, it's
do
like
it.
the Ravenel Bridge. What was it? $2 million overrun. And then when they finally did it, it was $5.5 million over.
I
We put
remember
that
the
fence
former
over-
council discussing this, the former council from last year discussing the same thing.
That fence we put up over here right down this way and planted all the jasmine, wouldn't it Confederate jasmine? Did we put up something like that
Jasmine.
and just put up nice jasmine all around that whole corner?
Well, I don't think you can there because right off the edge of the sidewalk is all that riprap that goes down 15 feet. Nothing but riprap there. There's no soil.
Oh, so we can't grow anything?
Yeah.
What, the fence? No, the whole sidewalk. Oh, you think it's gonna get washed away?
It needs to be piped in. It really does need to be piped in.
Give them the money. Tell them to do it.
It really does need to be piped in. I mean,
Well, somebody make a motion.
so let me understand this. They keep this refund and then they pipe it in. Is that where we are?
And they're gonna get the other $80,000, from the feds because the feds will let them continue the project.
Okay.
That's what they tell me. And we'll try to get a firm cost, but again, they're gonna send us an amended contract.
I want a firm time frame more than a cost. I mean, when are they gonna do it?
Contractors in the area,
He's still gonna do
in the area. We'll be able to
okay.
get them back if they don't hit us with the mobilization cost, we'll be all right. That's,
Well, tell them we're not gonna pay that. We'll give them 25, but we ain't paying that.
it'd be I'm sure DOT would work that in with the contract. The point is, I think what Mr. Cooley out is, we don't wanna pay another dime. If we pay them this, then we get some sort of a
Guarantee.
agreement
Ain't
that
gonna
they will
happen.
come back. I mean, we can't, but maybe we can get an email or something from Herb Cooper over there. He's the guy in charge.
All right, so what is the motion then?
The motion is to keep the refund, right?
And complete the job.
Isn't that what's on the?
No, it's just a decision on what to do. So now we gotta, what is that decision? Somebody say something.
Oh, I'll make them.
Keep the refund. I mean, no.
We can't leave it the way it is.
So, all right, I'll make a motion that we allow DOT to keep the refund and finish the project by piping it in.
All right, and, okay. Barry seconded. Any discussion? All in favor then, to do that, give them the 25,000, tell them to pipe it in and finish it, do so with show of hands. All opposed? I mean, I don't like these guys, I'm gonna give them a dime, I'm tired of them. Anyway, appointment to the Oak Strut Commission. What's her name? Kathy Campbell. Her term has expired, and she has asked to be put back on. And I think we ran an ad, and no names came in. Is that correct?
But this is the Women's Club
Yeah, and this is the lady.
seat, right?
And the president of the Women's Club recommended Kathy also.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so no other names were, whatever you call it, mailed in or anybody else volunteered. So, is there a
I make motion
nomination?
She be
Okay.
reappointed.
And it's Kathy Campbell,
Campbell, like the soup.
and so Kathy's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And any other, that's right, any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor then of Kathy Campbell to be reappointed to the Oak Strut for another 3 years?
3 years.
Do so with show of hands. And next item is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who would like to address council on anything may do so at this time. All we ask you to give us your name and address for the record. Has that game started yet? Ooh, I got to go. Seeing none, discussions none. We do have an executive session on here to discuss the garbage contract. I also wanted to add to that a legal matter, and Bob can give us an update on the sewer issue, DHEC issue, just to kind of talk about that a little bit, let everybody know what's going on. Is there a motion for executive session?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
All right, we're going in, we'll be back out and see what's going on. Holy moly. Oochie. Is that thing on? We ready? We are back from executive session and my pen. Is everybody's radio thing on? What is the decision or what is the motion?
I make a motion to have the 3 lowest bidders come to a special meeting that we'll have on the 14th.
Monday the 14th.
Yes.
Um,
Let's do it at 6 o'clock.
Let's add tentative to that, just in case we have to change it, in case someone can't come or they can't come or whatever. But tentatively shoot for the 14th, because we may have to change it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have to advertise it until next week.
Yeah,
So we've got,
but I don't want to say here we're going to have it the 14th and then we change it to the 16th or 17th or who knows what. But we'll tentatively shoot for that. But go ahead. And that's it. And meet with them
Yes.
privately, one-on-one.
Yes.
All right, so there's a motion to invite the 3 lowest bidders in for a special meeting tentatively on the 14th. And I think Bob is going to also meet with, or talk to Advance and get their whatever.
well, they're our current contractor, I can talk to them
Yeah.
anytime, so.
So is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Do so with show of hand. Next is adjournment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do aye. Aye. All righty, thank y'all. We're through.
Hey.